Peace, peace. Abargani, Islam, Salam, Etepu, Rahubat, Zeno Lakoni Nani, Chief Noble Bandele LME, back again for another video. Today's video, we're talking about Moors and the myth of Moors, okay? So what we're going to be talking about today is basically about the Moors that are present today and some of the misconceptions or the myths to some of the things that have been going on in the Moorish movement. And then Ma'at is the justice. So we're going to look at what Moors really are from the Moorish sovereignty side to a Ma'at side, if you understand what I'm saying. So I just want to let y'all know what we're getting into tonight. Appreciate everybody in the building or going to be in the building. I'm trying to wait for a few people to get in here. But before we get into all that, I want you guys to check out all of my books that we have. The one I'm featuring right now is the Holy Ancestral Covenant. It has just been received by divine order, and it has been brought to the people. All of our members should have it, but in particular, all the ministers of the organization needs this book. It is a very dynamic book with regards to having a book for the ancestors. A lot of us are not Christian in that way, or not Muslim, or any of the Abrahamic religions. And so this book doesn't deal with any Abrahamic religious views. It's basically our rights to our ancestors and teaching us how to deal with our ancestors, okay? And it's got a lot of stories and things that are dealing with the ancestors coming from the ancestors themselves. And it is our covenant from the ancestors to us. So it is a very good book to get into. It's a must-need book for the ministers, and it's a must-need book for all spiritual people that want to practice their spirituality under a covenant of a book. All right, so you check that out. Also, check out all my other books that I have. You haven't understood the Moors, Moor by Man, Reflection and Redemption Process. You try to understand the real Hebrews. You want to understand the real Hebrews, you need the Canaanite connection to do that. So this book is really dealing with the Abrahamic religion and goes into how it comes out of Canaan, okay? The nationality, birthright, and jurisprudence. It's a must-have for anybody understanding, trying to learn how to deal with the sovereign principles or whatnot that we're talking about and what we're going to get into in this video. The Indigenous Manual of Life will teach you from the religious, cultural aspect of how to protect yourself. Okay, and many of us, and we're going to get into this too, because there's a big misconception about the treaties, right? How to use these treaties is a problem. But right here, we do have the Moorish treaties, the first and the second. The first one is a main staple. Most people have it. If you got it, the second one goes even harder, okay? So just letting you know, okay? So those are basically what we have. Then we got the Circle Southern Quran, and we also have Wake Up Africa. This one is out of stock, so if you see it, it's out of stock. We got the new edition, and then, so, pick that up. This is really for all the conscious people trying to wake up, okay? And then we have the Moorish version of the Holy Quran, which is more updated to deal with Kemetic principles, okay? So, because we are the new Kemet version, okay? So, with that being said, we in the building, and we're gonna get into this, all right? So, what am I talking about when I talk about this sovereign, this Moorish myth, okay? What we're talking about is the Moors are practicing certain aspects that are not traditionally Moors, and they have their origins from other sources. Okay, so there's a big schism, a big split between the Moors, where you got sovereignty Moors, and then you have your more traditional Moors. Now, from my own perspective, really it's a piece of both of these two need to be, both have their importance in the movement, but they're going to need each other to do it. What do I mean by that? Religion and sovereignty go hand in hand. Okay. What you're going to see though is that the sovereignty movement is more of a European, it comes from the European, which we talked about this before. I'm not going to get into that side of it, but what I want to do is show you how it's not being applied right. And we got a lot of Moors out here who are basically trying to get other Moors to do things because it sounds good. It sounds good if I could get my all my bills paid, or I can discharge my debt. All that sounds good, right? And they do it under the guise of Moors when it's really not Moorish. Now, I understand this because I came out of the sovereignty movement. You guys watched some of my videos years ago. They sound like a little sovereign in it, right? But as things have progressed in understanding, we're looking at things from a different perspective, because one of the things you're going to realize is that religion plays a big part in this whole thing, okay? So what I want to do, though, is first, I want to take everybody out, make sure everybody's good, see if everybody's good. What I want to do with this tonight is I want to look at some of the misconceptions or the myths of the Moorish paradigm, okay? So you guys are Moors, if you haven't heard about the one of our Moorish brothers who was shot and killed in Pittsburgh, okay? There is there was a brother, if y'all hadn't seen him, I think it's a picture, I hope it's a picture of him. But there was a brother, one of our Moorish kin, who was killed a couple of weeks ago because there was a big police standoff, okay? So I want you to look at this, because what I'm trying to get the Moors to understand is the way that they're being presented in society is causing, it's a negative connotation. We're putting a negative connotation on our Moorish beliefs, okay, because of this one term. It says right here, man killed in standoff with Pittsburgh police held extremist beliefs, okay? Now, this is a 2019 social media video. I'm not going to show that, but you guys, it's a brother, he had a flag, he was riding a pickup truck, and he had his flag out. I thought I had it on here. Maybe so. But anyway, his name was William Hardison. He said, who died Wednesday during a 6-hour standoff with police following an extremist group with anti-government beliefs. So you see how the media is, putting this out here and portraying everything, okay? Now look, police shot and killed Hardison after an exchange of gunfire when Hardison refused to comply with what? An eviction order. Now, let's get into it, because this is what's happening. In 2019 social media video, Hardison describes himself as a what? More sovereign citizen. Followers believe that they do not have to follow laws or police orders. Okay, now, did he say that he was a more sovereign citizen? I truly doubt that. And the reason why I say that is because Moors don't talk about that. They don't say they're a more sovereign citizen. If you're a Moor, you're a Moor. You either call yourself an American Moor, or you're a Moorish American, or you're a Moor, Moorish, Moor. Okay, like these are the terms that we tend to use. Okay, so I know that this is a plant to what's going on with the Moorish sovereign citizens. If you guys can hear me, make sure you guys can hear me. Just want to make sure you guys can hear me. Okay, somebody put a comment in there. See if you can hear me. But that so we all I'm saying is we know that that's not what was really being said, right? He's not a Moorish American citizen, a Moorish citizen. He's a Moorish American national. Well, you call himself a Moorish American national, Moorish American, a Moor, an American Moor, those things. Okay, so this right here is showing you how the news or how the media is, going to project or portray Moors that come in this particular way. So you have to be careful on how you detail yourself when you're dealing in public. Okay. Um, I don't want to get too far off, but there's a lot of times that this is reminiscent of when Moors under Noble Drew Ali, Noble Drew Ali had to tell them to calm down because they thought that having this nationality card that they could go around, harming white people, so-called Albions, right? So in a way, sometimes we have gotten off pattern, off beat, and we're, being labeled a certain way, okay? And we're out here doing things in a certain way that we don't necessarily should, okay? So to go on, it says this video showed Harrison confronting the Pittsburgh police during a traffic stop. Now I've seen this video, and the Pittsburgh police were at bay. They just was standing there listening to this guy talk, right? And they said they ain't got no jurisdiction for us. We're Moors, and they know what this flag is. So he had the Moroccan flag, okay? And it says they know what this means. Hardison said as a Moroccan flag was draped on the side of a pickup truck. Police allowed him to drive away. You see what I'm saying? But they later, hold up, what happened? Okay. It says police allowed him to drive away, but later cited Harrison. Attorney Brent McCune represented him in that case. He would not exit his vehicle. He would not take citations. He would not listen to authority in any way whatsoever. And he would take out his Moroccan flag and extend it over the side of his car and basically object, okay? Basically object to their entire encounter with him, okay? Does this sound familiar? This is what we do. Now, like even on the video I did, this is what we do. We tell them we don't have no jurisdiction, knowing that most police don't know what's going on, and most police are told to do a certain thing. So a lot of times this is kind of surprising a police officer when somebody does this. Now, is the brother all the way wrong? I'm not saying that the brother is all the way wrong. Okay. Obviously, he wasn't beat up or shot at or anything of that nature, right? So let's keep going. It said he would not exit the video. It says Hardison wanted McCoon to file motion saying that he was sovereign citizen. Now this is where we get all crazy, right? He wanted him to file a motion saying he was a sovereign citizen, but McCune said he refused. Most people have had this problem because this is where the myths go. This is where the myths, okay? This is where the problems arise. If you understand. First of all, I know you guys are gonna say that he shouldn't have had an attorney. Well, that's true. He can't have an attorney file sovereign motion. He can't have him doing that because he's not first of all, the attorney's not sovereign, okay? we all know the attorneys working for, you know, the bar. Okay, so that you can't ask your lawyer to file certain type of motions. Okay, but there is a way for them to file some things in there based on a more simple principle because another reason why they won't file a sovereign citizen because they know that there's not going to be a great argument with that in court. Okay, he's not going to be able to argue that in court. Now it says in recent years, the Moorish sovereign citizen followers have shot, killed police officers in Georgia and Florida during traffic stops and evictions. This is the one thing that I hear a lot of us say. This is our land. A lot of people say, this is our land. And I'm not here to argue if this is our land or not. But what I do realize is that the land has been taken from you. And you don't have the power or the jurisdiction to claim the land. You have the paperwork to claim the land, but you don't have the leverage to claim the land. What do I mean by leverage? Most Moorish Americans are moving in a singular way. They're moving in a singular position, meaning that when they're going to court, particularly like if we look at this example, he went to court as himself, claiming that he's sovereign. Under what sovereignty is he able to make that claim? Who else is representing or backing this claim of sovereignty? So, being sovereign from the United States jurisdiction, what are you sovereign to? And if that sovereign entity that you claim to be, do they have a government or organization in place for you? Or are you going in there as an individual, or I should say a singular human being? Are you going in there as a singular entity trying to present yourself as a sovereign? That's one of the differences, okay? The sovereign citizens usually they're usually a singular entity going in there. So this is why he went in there as a singular entity, as a Moor. But just being a Moor is not enough. You need a entity to back you up. This is what I'm finding. This is the myth of the Moors. If we look at Noble Drew Ali created an organization that people could join to become a member of something. Okay? And that entity, which was the Moorish Science Temple of America, was protecting you. Sovereign citizens don't really have an entity that way. And they kind of go in there by themselves. They're sovereign citizens, which is a oxymoron in itself, right? But let's say, let's keep going, okay? Because this is, I really want to talk about this because a lot of evictions, there's a lot of people that's learning that there's a fraud with your mortgage, right? I even talked about this earlier this week with somebody. They're Moors, they're coming up with what they call frivolous paperwork, saying that they own the land or own this themselves because this is their divine land, right? So Most sovereign citizens are not paying their mortgage no more. Okay, so so you stop paying your mortgage, you start getting evictions. You start getting evictions, or you get you're gonna have the sheriff come out to your house. You're gonna ignore them, all this stuff. We don't get into that, but it says right here. Uh, in recent years, sovereign citizens' evictions followers have shot, killed police. Okay, 2 years ago, followers shouted at a Massachusetts judge after being arrested for possessing unlicensed guns and tactical gear. Now, I think they're talking about the rise of the Moors, but I'm not sure. It says Mark, whatever, of the Anti-Defamation League or Extremism, said evictions of sovereign citizen followers can easily turn violent. So they're putting this thing on you. Like anyone else who gets evicted, they might be angry, but they might even be afraid of what might be happening. You know, have after the natural human emotions as well. So when you combine the ideology with the situation, it becomes violent. Okay, so this is what they're saying about you guys. You understand what I'm saying? This is what is being said. So you don't want to be labeled that way. It says court records show Allegheny County Sheriff's deputy evicted Hardison last year from an apartment. Last year, Hardison pleaded guilty to carrying a firearm without a license and received 2 years probation. So this Moor, you know, and like many of Moors, have tried to go in there, and this is what happened. He's a Moor. He was talking that knowledge. He was spitting that fire. He knew what he know to know. But he got busted with a firearm, got found guilty in court. Received 2 years probation. He had another attorney. So he has these attorneys, right? Well, okay, so let's keep going. Let's keep going. I just want you guys to understand that, right? So you're looking at this this particular mindset on how as a sovereign citizen, okay, and this is what's going on with our community. This is what's going on with a lot of the Moors right now, the modern day Moors, right? So let's keep going. Let's look at this corner. Let's look at what the sovereign citizens are doing, because this is what they're talking about. This is what's going on in court. Like if you guys, you know, if you're dealing with court, you're gonna get. If you go to court doing this stuff, there's gonna be a problem. So a lot of Moors, so don't protect them. If they always got an answer. Some of the Moors are saying that you don't go to their court. I understand that principle as well. You're not going into their court, right? You're not going to, submit to that jurisdiction, right? And I do understand that. You can put letters in, but at the same time, you have to make sure that what's going on in court is dealt with. Because you send the papers to them, does that negate the court procedure? You see, because a lot of times what the Moors are saying, or what these brothers say is, oh, well, I'm sending them letters, this and that. But that does not mean that the case is being dismissed, or is that if the case is not being still adjudicated. So you still got to take care of that case, because they're going to use that to come at you again and justify what they're doing. It says right here, District Court in Arizona finds dismissal of case against auto loaner lender appropriate, where plaintiffs claim had many hallmarks of the sovereign citizen redemption theory. Okay, so many sovereigns, many of y'all brothers, many Moors brothers are familiar with the redemption theory. Okay, I studied the redemption theory back in 2000 and I want to say 2008 or somewhere around there, or maybe, yeah, I want to say a good 2007, okay, maybe 2006. So we was looking at the redemption story, the redemption process. It says in Poindexter versus Murrieta, okay, judges, Judge Reeves dismissed a case filed against an auto lender. The lawsuit stems from a retail installment sale for a purchase of a 2019 Mercedes entered in between plaintiff, the AutoNation Chevrolet Arrowhead. Okay, AutoNation therefore sold and assigned a risk, okay, to Wells Fargo. Plaintiff then attempted to pay off her debt by presenting Wells Fargo with an illegitimate financial instrument. Okay, so this is where things get tricky, right? Because if you guys are making instruments, okay, many people are trying to use other forms that is not money, okay? And I'm not saying that there's not a particular aspect of this, but we're going to see here because I don't think there was no consumer issue, like argument, like about being a consumer in this particular one. That's another thing. You know, we've got some videos about that too, as far as your status being concerned and having a status of being a consumer, okay, versus a debtor creditor, okay. So that's another. See, you know, all these different aspects of sovereignty, if you will. There's the debtor, creditor, there's the consumer, there's the different aspects that they use. Okay, but let's keep on though. They said they gave them. They said illegitimate financial instrument. Now, credit agreement payoff security cap payoff, yeah, payoff security cap security. It says after receipt, Wells Fargo did not excuse the debt on the vehicle. So a lot of times they'll try to use these things, right? And what happens is they'll accept it momentarily. And then a few days they'll reject it. Okay? So they don't accept that as a payment. Now I've had arguments with different people. Let me see what the comments. I've had arguments with different people, and one of the things, okay, what was you saying right here? I got a comment popped up. I'm glad that somebody at least commented, right? And I wanna look at this. A allodial title must be had to truly own tax free. Now, this is a very good. This is what a lot of people are saying or using allodial title. Allodial title is supposed to be where you own the land all the way down. Okay, nobody else owns it. Now, having to get an allodial title is not going to take paperwork because the way that the United States corporation in the United States is working is they're not going to allow you to file a allodial title. These are some of the things I look at as a myth or things that are not necessarily put in the right perspective. A lot of times what the sovereign movement has done is they have interpreted particular statutes or codes in a certain way as arguments, and these arguments have a lot of times have been disqualified in court, and so people think that you can file an allodial title and that you can own that land. It's not that easy. Now, let's break this down. He said a allodial title must be had to truly own tax free. You can own the land tax free. You don't have to pay taxes on land. But that doesn't mean that your allodial, this title that you have, it doesn't mean that you are able to, like, not, like if the state, if a state or the federal government come in and they want to take that land, they would have, why wouldn't they take it? Like, unless you got a true claim to the land, meaning like you have an actual sovereign entity that the United States has an agreement with that can back it. That's where I think a lot of the issues is, that you're going in there as a sovereign time, but you got this allodial title, and you're going against bigger entities than you. You're going against corporations. You're going against corporations in the form of a state, a form of federal government, a form of a multinational corporation. These type of things, where these people have a lot more access to money and resources, and have a much more better relationship with the courts than you do. And you're going in there as a sovereign with some allodial land title that you created, right? And you created it, right? Like, a lot of times these are things that the Moors have created on their own. There's documentation that they have created on their own as a singular entity. Okay, so as we was going on, as further being saying, so we got the plaintiff filed a complaint against several Wells Fargo employees. Okay, so all these employees that he filed a complaint against. The complaint has many hallmarks of the sovereign citizen redemption theory. France versus Mackey. Okay, sovereign citizens are loosely this is how they look at you. Are a loosely affiliated group who believe that the state and federal governments lack constitutional legitimacy and therefore have no authority to regulate their behavior. Nevertheless, having reviewed the complaint, the court determined that it could be fairly read as raising 6 issues. Breach of contract. See, now this is where we get into the facts or the truth of the matter. Okay? When you're going into these courts, the language that you speak is more important than your ideology. Let me say that again. Your language is more important than your ideology. Because if your ideology is not, if you're not communicating the ideology, that it can be related and understood as a violation, okay, in the court, then you're gonna miss the boat every time. Instead of going there, like, this is the thing, there's a breach of contract. If you go in there talking about these issues, breach of contract, fraud upon the court, conspiracy under the Racketeer Influence Corruption RICO. Now it says lack of jurisdiction to collect the debt, failure to produce the original contract, financial discrimination. On December 16, 2020, defendants filed a motion to dismiss, which argues that plaintiff's complaint is subject to dismissal for failure to state a claim. The motion is now ripe. So sovereign citizen going in and do all that, right? All this, but they don't have everything right when they go to court. They're not filing, they're not going by the rules or procedures. We've talked about this many a time. The rules in the court have to be obeyed. If you're in the court, you got to obey the rules. Plain and simple. So it says on or around January or December 4th, plaintiff created and executed a document labeled negotiable security, which purported to be a legal possessed debt or assessed tax payoff security instrument and legal tendered at face value for all debts, public and private. This document states registered private banks, hereby obligated to pay to the order of Freddie Mac, U.S. Treasury, or Homebridge, receive the full amount specified by. So you got this guy going in there, Christopher J. Francis, registered private banker, a registered private banker. This is what they're telling us to do. This is what I see Moors doing. They're becoming private bankers. And in reality, it's like they're trying to offset the Federal Reserve in some way. They're trying to imitate what certain individuals do in the banking community. They're trying to imitate that because they think and they understand that money is more than just it's a security instrument. It's a promissory note. It can be various things that they use as money. And so you, as a private person, singular in yourself, a singular entity. This guy, I mean being a singular person, a singular entity, right? I, Christopher James Francis, a singular entity, registered private banker, obligated to pay the order of Freddie Mac. This is what kind of borderline fraud. These are the myths of what goes on because a lot of times is what Moors are doing. This is the myth. The myth is that you can discharge debt in this way. Now, I'm not saying that you can't discharge debt, but what I'm saying is, where's the unity in the Moorish movement? Where is the unity? Where is the entity that is securing the Moorish people? Because I don't see it. Tariq Day, as much as I love and respect and honor that brother, I don't see that organization or any of these organizations that are actually able to cover and protect the people that are involved. All these people are doing this by themselves. So it says right here, they're doing this to the Freddie Mac, U.S. Treasury, Homebridge Financial Services, the full amount, right? They got $46,000, $460,000, excuse me, right? The document further states the legal security instrument credit agreement property payoff, counter-off, relief, satisfaction, set-off, all this stuff. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know what this is. Y'all know what they're talking about. This is what they're talking. Are you guys ready to do this in court? Because, truthfully, this stuff doesn't necessarily go down like that in court. Okay? So let's keep looking. Let's keep looking at this, right? United States District Court, District of New Jersey, right? We got people right here, right? Look. So we got, in this matter, comes before the court, plaintiff submission of a civil complaint. So we got a civil complaint. This one I want you to understand. This one right here is very important for you to understand how you are looked at before you even go into court. Okay, you look at it in a certain way when y'all go up into court because there's already been plenty of cases before that have given the court some kind of perception of a Moor. So it says this: the aforesaid complaint is executed in a style indicating that the drafter, okay, was or were or is, right, affected by Moorish, Moricus, or akin perception, which often coincide with, look at this, redemptionist, and sovereign citizen, sociological, political beliefs. See Bay versus Stumpf. Okay, this case, Bay versus Stumpf, is detailing the various aspects of said position. It's saying that the Moors and redemptionist movement, two concepts. So they understand some things. They're saying two concepts which may or may not operate as interrelated, color the issues at hand. One of these concepts underlies ethnic, religious identification, movement of certain groups of individuals who refer to themselves as Moors, while the other concepts provide the basis for another movement of certain groups of individuals, which frequently produces these individual denouncements of U.S. citizenship, self-declaration, and other imaginary citizenship and accompanying self-declaration of equally imaginary diplomatic immunity. Okay, so they are already aware of you and the things that you are going to use. And this has been going on for over 20 years, over 30 years. Okay, look at this. In 98, the U.S. Court of Appeals in the Seventh Circuit, being one of the first courts to detail the concept of the Moorish movement. So back in 98, they already on it. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a black, okay, Islamic sect. 3/4 of its temples are inside prison. Listen, it said 3/4. So basically, a quarter, only a quarter, only 1/4 of Moors in their perception is not in prison. The Moors are the adherents to the Moorish Science Temple have their own version of the Quran and a list of prophets that include, in addition to the prophets recognized by Orthodox Islam, Buddha, Confucius, and the founder of the Moorish Science Temple. Two groups for leadership of the sect. You got Mount Clemens, Michigan, headed by someone referred to as Grand Sikh moderator, Brother R. Love L., and one in St. Louis headed by Grand Sikh Jerry Lewis Bay. The suffixes L and Bay refer to African tribes from which the Moors believe black people are descended. Redemptionism is paper terrorism and related concepts. So they have back since 98. Since 98, they have already been labeling this redemption process, which is not Moorish. It is not Moorish. This is the myth. The redemption process, let's look at it. Let's keep going. Shortly after the concept of Moorish movement was outlined by the Southern Circuit. Discussion of another movement appeared on the pages of legal opinion issued by the federal judiciary. That other movement was dubbed the sovereign citizen movement. Dun, dun, dun. Right? This movement was fostered by, look, hey, now this is what I want you to understand. The sovereign movement, which is found prominent in Moorish movement, is a loosely organized collection of groups and individuals who have adopted the right wing anarchist ideology originating in the theories of a group called Passe Comitatus in the 1970s. Its inherent belief that virtually all existing government in the United States is illegitimate. Therefore, such sovereign citizens, a oxymoron, right, wage war against the government and other forms of authority using paper terrorism, harassment, and intimidation tactics, and occasionally resorting to violence. So the Moorish people, we're not inherently sovereign. Well, I don't want to say sovereign citizens, but we are not inherently coming from this sovereign citizen or this sovereign ideology. Okay. This is the myth. And we're going to keep going because I want to show you guys why this is not what Noble Drew Ali was necessarily speaking of. Okay. So it's got all this in there. The concept of sovereign citizen does occasionally relate to the phenomena of world passports. World passports issued by so-called World Service Authority are not recognized in the United States and in the majority of world nations. And that says in the majority. So there are some that do. And substitutes for official documents such as national passports or driver's license. So even the world citizens, which is what the world citizen passport is what your most deaf or Yassine Bey, known as most deaf. That's what he had, one of those world passports, where he got caught up in. I think it was South Africa. He got caught up in there because he was doing that. Now he's a Moor as well, but see, that's what I'm saying. Like, if you notice that Yassine Bey is not necessarily doing that sovereign stuff no more. Once he got jammed up, when he got jammed up in South Africa, right? With that world passport that we talking about, right? So, to talk about the UCC filing process, that's another issue. Okay. The other problem, or the other thing is the liens. They say that evidently filing financial statements under Article 9 of the UCC will set forth a process for protecting security instruments and property. All right. These liens and judgments accessible on financial statement forms are easy to file. Once registered, however, the fraudulent liens are very burdensome to remove. For example, in a New Jersey incident, one group registered a fraudulent 14.5 million liens with the New Jersey Department of Revenue against the federal prosecutor. See, like, that's the thing. That's how they call it paper terrorism. Because they be like, really trying to shut down something, right? The intent is to shut stuff down. Which, a lot of people are like, yeah, like they doing that, that's what we got to do is shut them down. But this is what happens. This is what I'm saying. Like, this is what happens. Despite the fact that you're trying to, put this huge lien. It says it was a fraudulent lien with the New Jersey Department of Revenue against the federal prosecutors and a $3.5 million lien against the federal judge for using copyrighted names. Y'all know all that stuff. Here's what I'm saying. Using copyrighted names in court papers and hearings. It says the adherents of this scheme have filed these commercial liens with state departments of revenue, Department of State, and other state agencies responsible for receiving and recording these financial instruments. Further investigation revealed that the various publications were advocating the exploitation of the UCC filing process and provided explicit instructions on how to perfect these fraudulent security interests, including sample financial statements. Okay, these publications, I'm skipping over a little bit. You can go back if you can. These publications built on redemptionist theories, which propound that a person has a split personality, a real person and a fictional person called the straw man. I mean, like I said, I grew up on this. This is what I started out in. When I first got into the movement, I started out as the sovereign side. And so I learned about the redemption, the straw man, all these things, right? But I began to understand it from even a bigger perspective because there's a lot of speculation on how they're going about the storyline of the redemption story. Okay, the redemption theory has good points, but it's kind of spit around in a perverted way. Perverted meaning twisted to to go along with what they're saying, right? So the straw man, the fictional person called the straw man, redemptionists claim that the government has power only over the straw man and not over the live person who remains free. Individuals can free themselves by filing financial statements, acquiring an interest in their straw man. So now this is the other part of it, right? Because you guys are saying that you can reclaim the straw man, but you try to claim something that you didn't create. You didn't create the straw man, okay? Regardless, like the thing about it is, they're telling you that there is some kind of entity that the government uses to do business with you, which they call the straw man. But where they go overboard is that they try to say that you can redeem this entity. So they're giving you the truth that there is something that they have called the straw man, but they're giving you a theory which has not been proven, has not worked in court yet. The real person can demand that government officials pay enormous sums of money to use the straw man name. These are the problems. This is why these is what people are still doing today. This was back in '98. Y'all holler if you hear me. Y'all holler if you hear me. These people were are doing these financial statements. They're doing these things, and there is no like green light for them to do this. There's nothing. There's no government. There's no entity. There's nothing backing them that has leverage. There's no leverage that they have against the United States Corporation or United States or whatever it is. You don't have any leverage. You don't have any entity that's strong enough to talk to the United States government and allow these things to happen. You guys are going in there based on redemptionist theories, theories that were created in the 1970s by an ultra organization. This is not Moorish in this way. And I had to learn that myself. And you can see that. I'm telling you, go back and watch some of my older videos. And I talk about traffic. Okay, the way I'm coming at it was coming almost from a sovereign citizen perspective. But as you learn more, you begin to understand how it really works. Okay, so let me look at this. I want you to understand something, because all this stuff, it stems back to the Moorish Temple of America, which is founded by Noble Drew Ali. And if you know anything about Moor, if you are a Moor, you do know about the Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Okay, I say. Okay, now let's look at this. Noble Drew Ali was an American religious leader. A religious leader who in the 20th century founded a series of organizations that he ultimately placed under the umbrella title of the Moorish Temple of America. I want you to understand this. Everything that we've been talking about has been from a sovereign perspective. We have not discussed Noble Drew Ali. We have not discussed the religious aspect of the movement and where Noble Drew Ali derived most of his real power. So let's go into it. So we ain't talk about it. We talk about all this sovereign stuff, right? It says that Noble Drew Ali was a religious leader with an umbrella of titles and organizations under the Moorish Science Temple of America, including the Canaanite Temple, the Moorish Divine National Movement, right? And the Moorish Temple of Science, okay? And the Moorish Science Temple of America, onward, 1920 onward. Now, he was considered a prophet by his followers. Why is this important? Because the idea of Moor and what he was doing is ultimately what he did was he put it all under religion. He said he had a Moorish divine and national movement, okay, and a Moorish Temple of Science, okay. But the Moorish Temple of America was the one that he really went full religious on. And the reason why I say that is because the Moorish Science Temple of America is what is the one known today. If you look at it, it's a religious organization. Very religious, but has pieces of civics in it. If you go to a Moorish Science Temple, they're going to be pretty much religious. They're going to know you're in a religious institution. That's important to know. It is traditionally held that Drew Ali founded the first officially state-registered Islamic organization in American history. Now, Islamic, you're talking about Islamic. So this is a religious organization. Noble Drew Ali was trying to take people from under the Christian or the Catholicism Christian paradigm. He was trying to put them under another jurisdiction of religion. So he went under the Islamic influence, but this is religious, okay? It says that although Moorish Temple of America has largely declined, legacy is significant because of its influence on the founding ideologies of Nation of Islam. Okay, so we understand that as well. Okay, so we're talking about these. Uh, we're talking about Noble Drew Ali basically creating a religious organization. That's what I want you to kind of understand. That Noble Drew Ali, through his, studies, he studied Islam and he studied what we call New Age, and he created a religion because you know the Islamic the Islamic aspect of the Moor Science Temple is not necessarily Orthodox Islam, as you call it. It's not Sunni Islam, okay, but it has pieces of Islam in it, and it has pieces of Christianity in it. And so what he did was he created his own religion to cover himself, and that's what's key. It says that nonetheless, a case might still be made that he taught a more faith-centered Islam, focused on universally shared, highly Quran-supported principles, practice also evident in such older traditions. Okay, so what we find is that he used esoteric, religious things from different aspects to create his religion. And this is what I do not hear any more talk about. I do not hear any more talk about religion or their uh, spiritual belief in their sovereign speaker. Okay, I do not hear that at all. The fact is, where we come from as a temple is that we follow under what Noble Drew Ali was doing. We see what he was projecting, okay, what he was trying to do, and this was like this was like 100 years ago. I mean, we're talking about in the 1920s, so I mean, we're talking about close to 100 years. Close to 100 years, Noble Drew Ali was teaching some sort of a mix of religious and civics, forming some organization that was religious and civic, because he understood that religion had major protection. Religion has major protection. Okay, so let's look at a little bit more. So Drew Ali used this material to claim that Jesus and his followers were Asiatic. So you see, he was using, Islam, Christianity, Christian, all these different things. He was connecting them to religious doctrine. Noble Drew Ali, okay, it says that he labeled whites as European, which is true, although he labeled whites who became part of the MSTFA as Persians or Celts. He suggested that all Asians should be allies. Noble Drew Ali believed that African Americans were all Moors, who claimed that were descendants of the ancient Moabites. So, okay, when you talk about the Moabites, that's biblical and historical. It says he claimed that Islam and his teachings were more beneficial to their earthly salvation and that their true nature had been withheld from them. Male members of the temple were fed. Okay, we understand that. Noble Drew Ali began urging that Moorish Americans be better citizens, right? So he is using religion because he is a prophet this prophet is religious. You know, you have a prophet. In order to have a religion, you tend to have a prophet. So, like for the Christians, of course, it's Jesus as a prophet in the sense. For the Islamic or Muslims, you have uh, Muhammad, peace be unto him, and then even with Judaism, you have a prophet or a leader, which was Moses. Okay, Moses wasn't necessarily a prophet per se, but they look at him as a teacher or prophet. So each religious entity has somebody who they have to give as a divine. Okay, somebody they make divine as a prophet. So what we have to give acknowledgement to Noble Drew Ali was that he understood this and he created a religious organization outside of Christianity, if you will, outside of Christianity that would allow Black people to be able to grow, but it was through religion. So, you know, we're talking from 1920, 1929, 1928 to today. And in today's time, the Moorish Temple of America has become very passive in regards to the liberation of melanated people. They become much church and not a lot of the balance between church and the civics. The sovereign citizens are pretty much dealing with all civics. They're dealing with pretty much all civics. Very little do they use religion as an argument in their issues. So, example, instead, okay, so Moors are going there saying this is my land, my rights is the land, and they're citing uh, the Treaty of Peace and Friendship, and they are saying that through this allodial title that this is their land, that they were there before the Europeans got there, yeah. But Noble Drew Ali created a religious organization, and if the religious organization buys land, that land is now under the religious doctrine because the temple that Noble Drew Ali created was religious. And so he buys things, and these things that he buys under the temple and uses it for temple purposes are now tax free and under religion. So if there's an argument about any discrepancies, it would be based on religious law, religion, First Amendment, okay, versus, you being a Moor and not necessarily being recognized as a Moor that would be separate from the United States jurisdiction. You being a Moor is only showing you from an ethnic, historical perspective what you are, right? But it doesn't protect you under that. It's the religion that protects you, okay? The religious part is ma'at. All right? Let's look at ma'at real quick, right? Let's look at ma'at. Because most of us understand ma'at as, there's a principles behind it. You got the 42 principles of ma'at. Okay, I hear people saying this name so many different ways. Like they be saying Mayat, 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 all these different names. It's Ma'at. 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 That's it. That's how it's said. Okay? What is Ma'at? Ma'at is comprised the ancient Egyptian concept of truth, balance, order, harmony, law, morality, justice. Now, what did the Moor say? Justice is Jesus. Just us is just us. But justice is Jesus. Ma'at is also the goddess who personified these concepts and regulated the stars, seasons, and the actions. Ma'at is actually what the blind woman is. The blind woman in today's society that holds the scales is a form of Ma'at that's perverted. Okay? Well, let's look. It says that regulated the stars, seasons, and actions of mortals and the deities who had brought order from chaos. Okay? I just want you to understand that. And the concept of Ma'at, goes back, at least, if not more. I mean, I'm just saying at least 2,375 years. BCE. So we're talking about basically at least 4,000 years ago. At least 4,000 something years ago. Okay? Ma'at is very important to the concept that melanated people have of justice and harmony. So this concept is very important to the Moors. It's very important to Moors because if you notice that it's the Moors, if anybody else out here in any of the groups per se, right? In any of our groups, we talk about the Pan Africanist, we talk about Afrocentrists, we talk about Hebrew Israelites, any of these other groups, right? The one group that is actually out here trying to demonstrate law is the Moors. So the Moors are very much in tune with Ma'at, or at least with the concept of Ma'at, because there is a perversion of the Moors that are going in doing these things in the wrong way. So I want you to understand that, By the way, y'all, I didn't say this before, but like the video and subscribe. If you guys like these videos, please subscribe and to get the channel, the AI, get it up so people will be able to enjoy these videos and have monetization over it. Okay. Also, I ask that you guys donate to the organization in regards, because what we need to do with this money is things that are going to be used for the community, and to further the movement of the people, the members, to help the members, and to help with the growth of the temple. Okay, it's very important that we get donations for the temple. These donations for the temple can help further projects that will be used to help with the membership. Because what we're about is religious and spiritual argument and law. We're about using our religion to protect us versus purely just nationality. But we're here to teach the cultural aspects of ourselves. So it is important for you to donate to the temple, and also to continue to study and not to just allow um, particular doctrines and ideologies to continue to guide us, because at the same time, I really think that some of uh, these movements are designed to throw us off of like really coming together and unifying. Because at the end of the day, a lot of this movement is individual movement. Everybody's doing everything on their own or in small pockets of groups, which is keeping us divided as a people. So I hope this video was educational and informative, and I will continue to create more content and bring more videos. So um, with that being said, I'm gonna jump up out of here. And if you guys have any questions, you can hit me up in the on the phone number, or give me an email. Okay. So peace and love. Tutanana.